continue this remarkable journey of knowledge and reflection on the fourth day of our AICT at sponsored faculty development program on From Goals to Outcome, Designing Education for Measurable SDG Impact. It is our privilege to welcome a trailblazer in technology, education, and innovation, a name that resonates with brilliance and vision, Professor Milan Patnaik, who stands at the cutting edge of academia and industry, a rare blend of intellectual depth, technological mastery, and transformative leadership. He presently serves as a professor at Rashtriya Raksha University, an esteemed national institute of strategic importance, while simultaneously holding eminent position as the Chief Information Security Officer and Head of Global Services at Wisec Technology Private Limited, and co-founder and Chief Technology Officer at Armtech AI Private Limited. His journey is not just professional, it is inspirational. A thought leader who exemplifies the spirit of the 21st century educator, Professor Patnaik has redefined how technology can serve humanity. His ability to weave together artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and educational innovation into a vision for sustainable future makes him a true architect of change in the global learning ecosystem. We had the honor of hearing him earlier on the 7th of October when he delivered a spellbinding session on technology for education, leveraging EdTech for SDG-based learning. That session was nothing short of visionary, igniting our mind with possibility and reminding us that technology, when guided by ethics and empathy, becomes a tool for transformation. Today, he graces us once again to unfold his insights on curriculum design for sustainable future, a theme that stands at the heart of educational reform, preparing learners not just for employability, but for responsibility, not just for career, but for conscious citizenship. With his multidisciplinary brilliance, futuristic outlook, and deep commitment to sustainable development, he continues to inspire educators to think beyond boundaries, design with purpose, and teach for transformation. Let us all join in extending our most respectful and heartfelt welcome to Professor Milan Patnaik. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Neha, again for a grand introduction. Yeah, so I'll start with sharing my screen. Dr. Neha, we are having the same issue, and I have not been granted the access.
Just a minute, sir. Sir, you have been marked as a contributor, so you must be having all the rights.
Okay, I will just disconnect and connect again. Sorry for that. I'll just give me 1 minute. Yeah, so you can stop sharing so that I can share. I think now it's correct.
Sir, please try now.
No, again, it's showing that you are not allowed to share your screen. You can ask meeting host to turn on your screen sharing.
We have turned off.
I use the link which you emailed me, right?
Yes, and the ID that you gave me, we made you host on that.
Give me 1 minute. Sorry, Dr. Neha, it's not allowing me to share the screen.
You have joined from the same ID that you gave me on that day on the WhatsApp,
Yes.
and we have made you the contributor from the very same ID. I don't know why it is.
Can you resend me the link?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Now it's come. Just a sec. Okay, someone to just let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, it's visible now.
Perfect. Okay, good evening, everyone. Uh, Welcome back again. Are the audience common to the?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's start. I'll just give you a brief, background of what we discussed the other day, where we were actually talking about how EdTech can actually be leveraged in the academic industry to help towards various, SDG goals. So there, what we saw is that, okay, to support each of these goals, which is laid down by the UN, there is some technology invention that can be done by educators to educate people who want to work in that specific SDG. Now, to do that, of course, there are various methodology. We saw that how you can work towards supporting that specific SDG or the help the country or the nation as an educator, right? So the fallout of that, if you remember, I was always telling you that, see, all that is only possible if the curriculum or the process is defined in which you are teaching today has to change towards the SDG thinking, right? Because see, suddenly if you change the syllabus being the same, if suddenly you change the process, a student might feel that, oh, I am undergoing a different method of education. Am I going to achieve the same standards of skill set which I would have achieved in my traditional methodology of teaching which was there? So this is a challenge. This is a challenge which every instructor, educator faces once you are planning to convert your methodology of teaching into a methodology which supports sustainable development goals, right? So we will see some very important aspects of in the way the curriculum needs to change, how the thought has to be imbibed in the student, that okay, you are learning the same thing, however there is an essence of SDG education which has been put into this whole process. So we'll see that, and I'm sure there was a query from one of the audience that, okay, you really want to see a curriculum which is designed to support SDG, and I promised I will share one such curriculum. But I was waiting for this talk to finish so that then you can relate to actually how it has got changed. So that's what we are going to see today. So moving ahead, okay, just let me, yeah. So now, why sustainability education matters, right? Because there's an urgent call. So why I wanted to put this slide is that, though in the process of education, we are trying to change the methods which will support the education industry to prove that they are working towards SDGs, it is equally important to educate the students also about SDGs. So you should understand, now this is a second part of this whole ecosystem. I will repeat this again. See, one method is where every academic institution is imparting their education using processes which will support the SDGs, right? So that's what we saw last time. A very basic example, I will conduct AI simulation on a platform which does not use GPUs, right? So I have given a process which is doing the same education but supporting SDG 13. So this is one part of the whole game, if you say. The other part of the game is that when you are doing this, so some student might ask that, see, we are still we are not using the actual GPUs. Does the output that I am seeing on this platform is actually the platform is actually the output which I will get when I will run it on a real world industry GPU environment? It's a question mark, right? So unless the student has got that thought in his mind that he is doing this because it is towards support to SDG 13, you will not be able to convincingly impart that impact to the student that yes, you are learning the same thing which is supporting SDG 13, the climate, but also skilling you to the same extent that would have happened if you would have used actual GPUs. So this is the second part of the whole game. And today we are concentrating on the second part of the game, because to do this in every curriculum, as you design and as you do the change, the student should be convinced that, okay, this change in the curriculum has happened because I am supposed to learn about SDG simultaneously when I am learning about, let's say, cooking, or simultaneously when I am learning about law, or I'm learning about AI, or I'm learning about any other thing, right? Like sports. Even if I am doing sports, but I know that this is how, by doing this part of the curriculum, I'm actually learning about SDGs, which is imbibing that thought in me that, okay, it's making me more responsible to know what the SDGs are, to work towards these SDGs, and still achieve the same education that I would have achieved if it was non-SDG curriculum, right? So that's why the point is very important, that it's shaping the students' mind. That's very, very important. And for that, this is a very, very crucial juncture for the educators. Educators have to be very, very innovative to shape the mind of the student that achieves two things. One, that is, in the process of educating, you are actually serving the nation towards SDG, and also educating the child about the SDG, as well as making the child comfortable and confident that this change in curriculum has not changed this output or learning experience. So it's a big challenge, let me tell you, for all of you. It's a big, big challenge for all educators today. And that's why there are multiple methods and tools available to support this, which we will see in the talk today. So what is your essential goal? This is what sets the target, that you have to you design the learning methodology, right? So you have to have the connection between what you are teaching to what the actions that is been shown in the teaching curriculum. Very, very difficult to architect this way. Every knowledge you are imparting has to be connected by using some of the examples of the sustainable development goal. I'll give you a very simple example. If I am today giving you a math problem, now that math can be done by giving traditional examples which are there in the book, right? Ram went to the shop, he bought 5 things, he sold it for 10 rupees. How much money did he make? So this is like running profit and loss, right? But instead of that, if there is an example which says that, okay, Ram did some activity which gave him a climate change where he earned 5 credits, but tomorrow in his process he did so much damage to the environment that he utilizes this 5 credit and still he required 10 credit. So is it a profit or loss statement? So it's just example which came in mind, so I'm giving. So just to think that everything has to be, the knowledge has to be architected in that way. Values are also important. You have to nurture there are, because this is just a simple example for climate change, but if you look about other SDGs like poverty index, like inequality, like inclusion, so these empathy values are also very important, and you have to need and inculcate in a student's curriculum, whether you are teaching tech, non-tech, or psychology. And of course, you have to make them aware to become the future guides. That means the thinking, the skill that is needed to change this world, to support the SDGs, will get imbibed in them, that tomorrow, when the child always stands and speaks or gives an example, maybe presenting in a conference about his technology paper, but he's giving examples of ways where, you are reducing actually poverty, or you're looking at climate, or you look at planet. So that is the thought process which has to be brought in the curriculum. So the question is, why do you want to do it, right? Okay, it's there that, okay, we have to support SDG, because if you actually think in the second part of the game that I'm talking today, it does not directly support the SDG goals of the country, right? Because here I am being more psychologically affecting the student to change his thinking towards SDG. I am not directly doing something which is actually supporting SDG, right? So there is a different change. But this is very important, because once the thought of, for example, climate change, as is given in this slide, it goes into the process of politics, ethics, culture, economy. It actually makes the people think about this problem every day. So that becomes a meaningful knowledge for him. So this is how you actually change the mindset. You bridge the gap between the classroom theory and actually what can be done to solve the real SDG problem. Today, if you teach somebody a mathematics, which is a simple differential equation which can be applied to do a calculation of carbon credit, then the child can tomorrow do a thesis on seeing how emission calculations can be done, which today, as a mathematician, maybe he is not looking at it. He's looking at differential equation for any other industry, like manufacturing optimization, differential equation for semiconductor placement problem, right? But nobody is looking at using differential equation for making calculations which will give poverty index, or which will give predictive weather calculations. So this is where, this is very important to redesign the curriculum, so that the thought of the SDG comes into them. So the complex problems that you are solving today, for some specific industry, you start solving the same complex problems for the SDG problems. So that is what is the requirement. So it cannot be done over the night, right? So it's a systematic transformation methodology. Okay, because changes have to be interconnected. These challenges of SDG 13 to SDG 7 to SDG 4 all are actually interconnected challenges, right? So there can be you are teaching one subject, let's say AI, but and you're doing one kind of a project on AI, but that same project can solve 5 SDG problems in a way, so that this interconnected issue is handled, right? And students must understand that what is their impact that you are getting to this community. So you're like a global citizenship. It's not like I'm solving problem of India, I'm solving problem of the on the globe, and putting the theory to practice. So transformational research, translational research is what is the future, right? So every student in some way needs to work towards translating his research to the practice, right? That is how today all of us, I mean, all of you must be telling your students ki practically solve hona chahiye problem. It's not that you're just doing it on paper. So if you are working towards translational research and it is for a problem to solve one of the SDGs, actually the student can bring out some real, transformation in the SDG industry. They really will be solving some problem which is, very prominent, let's say for the planet. So something like that. And these are future ready skills, right? So what you have to do is you have to tell them that, see, today you are doing this, which may appear that it is not immediate effect to the goal, but your small project or your small work that you do today as an educator, as an academic student, will have a long-term effect if it is come into play in the practical industry towards the goals. So you need to have an innovative curriculum, right? This is a very big challenge. And, why? Because you have to do interdisciplinary integration. That's what I was talking about, right? Because SDGs are not about all tech. SDGs are not about all humanities or all calculations or all commerce. So you have to put everything together to solve this interconnected problem. So that's very, very required. So as we tell, it's like liberal education, right? That a science student can, pick up a subject which is of, let's say, humanities, because though he's a science student, he wants to study chemistry, but he can work on social impact of some activity which requires, chemical infusion or something like that. So this is interdisciplinary integration is very, very important. And as I tell you, today we take pride as IIT Madras today, where we say that even our humanities students are allowed to take subjects from computer science department. Computer science students are allowed to take subjects from, a biochemical, or even from problems in any other management studies and other and all that. So this is how, and the world, if you see towards the European universities or the US universities, this liberal education has been there for long, right? Because they want every student to do cross integration, where he can actually solve a different problem using his core technology. For them, if you tell a student that, okay, you are studying coding, but you have to develop an application which is for solving the purity water deficiency problem, it's not a new thing for him, because they are very, very interdisciplinary. But for us here, when you talk about tech, so tech students focus only on solving tech problems. Humanities students only focus on, a humanities problem. A humanities student today would never go towards to learn coding. That, okay, though I am studying agriculture, but I should know coding, right? Because then I can develop an application which will solve the problem of agri-tech, which is solving one of the goals of the sustainability. So interdisciplinary. Project-based learning, we all know, right? Unless you put to work, it is not possible to do it. And one way to add a curriculum change is to do projects across industry, across subjects. For example, today, if you have a project, like a final year project, which has to be done by a group of students, let's say a group of 4 students, we always choose the students from the same subject, right? We hardly tell them that, okay, you can choose anybody from the management or anybody from the humanities or from pharma or anybody and form a group and do your final projects. So this is like one big change which actually adds on a curriculum change towards SDGs, where you allow students to do interdisciplinary projects, and that's how learning changes. So tomorrow, if somebody in agriculture wants to do a very good, like the example given here, that creating urban garden spaces, he should know that it can be done in a very, very smarter way in which we can support SDGs. Okay. And then real world data analysis. This is also very important. One important part of the curriculum, again, I will give these examples because I'm sure most of the yesterday's question by someone who, how do we do it, will get answers today, because I'm giving you small fillers, how it will change. So when you do data analysis, purely today, let me tell you, I teach data analytics to AI students in IIT Madras. And every time when I give a data set, I always give off a population index, right? But gradually what I've seen, why to give proper, why not weather, why not climate, why not water, right? Why not poverty? So these kind of examples which are available, these matrices, these data sets are available. Use those data sets to teach a subject, so that the student tomorrow, if he has to solve one problem in data science, he intrinsically feels, let me try to solve this problem of poverty index. And one of our students, let me tell you, I take pride in telling this, by using this poverty data, one of my students has come up with a very beautiful platform which actually solves the labor problem, the labor migration problem, and which is been presented in the UNFCCC, which supports SDGs. So that's how gradually you can change in this curriculum, can force education to help in the SDGs. So that's one part of it. So what's the vision? You have to empower the students to become change makers. Students today don't know. They have no clue how they are going to get themselves towards supporting SDGs. As educators, we have to give them all this platform and data, and make their curriculum so that they do it. So we have to make them critical thinkers in the field of the goals, to make them innovators which solves problems of these goals, and make them socially responsible. That you have that empathy building in the student towards all these problems, whether he is a humanities student, whether he's a tech student, whether he's a management student, or even if he's doing like pharma or something like that. So I mean, this has to be somehow brought into the day-to-day process. Also, some of where there are some examples. So one examples, like I would highlight, co-design ESD framework is one of the framework which is used by we used to design curriculums, which actually what it does, it co-design stands for actually co-designing education for sustainable development, right? So it's a framework which actually helps every educational institute to see how they have changed their curriculum into a curriculum which supports SDG in a meaningful way. So it's a quantified methodology of proving that, okay, I have changed this design. Okay, so what it emphasizes on is co-creation. Means educators, students, whether you are any stakeholder in the process, whether lab assistant, with anybody, everything is worked out together and not just top down. I mean, I'm a professor, I just pass this order and the student does it. It goes into the realm of co-creation, which itself brings the values of inclusion, values of gender equality, values of multiples processes which are required in these SDGs. So this framework actually has got, I'll just give you a brief of the framework, because this is one of the very important framework I think everybody should try. It has got three main components actually. So what it gives is, it gives an indexes, some indexes. It's a framework. I mean, maybe I'll share. I have the handbook of the framework. I can share with you after this. So what it does is, it changes, the way somebody is thinking, the way you are practicing, and the how you have changed it. So let's say today one curriculum is there. You can import your current curriculum, and you can gradually make small changes, which shows in a graphical way that what is the SDG is supporting. And the beauty is, the moment you input your current curriculum, it will give you a graphical representation as to which SDG this curriculum is somehow imbibing, right? So that is a very important part, where the baseline. Then it also lays down some specific objectives based on your curriculum, that okay, so it divides into three parts actually: cognitive, the socio-emotional values, and what are the behavioral changes you need. So what it says is how you are imparting the knowledge, that is the cognitive part of it. It also tells about how this method of changing, how much empathy it is bringing into the child, and it also tell what changes it will make in the real world if a child imbibes this kinds of process. So it's like changing the thought process. It's a quantified framework which actually changes the process of education. So this is like one of the framework, and it's actually very commonly used. So now how actually this gets into the whole education process? What it does is it breaks down into these 4 parts. Okay, so it says that every educational system should have the observe category, that you have to identify the pattern to solve the complex problem. You have to intervene, that is, you design the solution. You have to connect it, and then finally analyze that how these systems have changed the behavior. So these are the 4 methods which are used to analyze that whether your new curriculum is somewhere supporting to the SDGs based on what all patterns it has observed in your current curriculum. So that's the whole design concept. So that's what I think is a design based learning. So this is the concept which says that students should be learning through creations. Like you can see the picture. So they are looking at a solar cell, right? Now this student which you can see in the photograph may not be actually working towards solar energy. They might be learning geometry, right? So he can be a science graduate, he can be any other graduate. So it's like getting this, imbibing this method, that okay, he actually sees that okay, this is a solar plant saves energy, so let me work on this subject. So for example, some of the examples are given, that you design a water filtration system for communities, or create a sustainable packaging alternative, renewable energy models. The student might be only of design modeling or modeling in simulation, but you have given him the task to design a renewable energy model, which is something zero waste initiatives or something like that. So every creativity in the subject should be focused towards that. One more concept is called biomimicry. Now this is a method in which you are actually mimicking a nature's strategy into your curriculum. So it's like giving you examples in which somehow it says that how this example is a lesson which offers a lesson in sustainability. So for example, nature has solved many problems, right? So now you can mimic your examples, such as it gives that effect that you are actually doing it for the nature. So this is like one of the concepts, like efficient buildings, adhesives, and many other methods can be. These are just examples. So the point is, the concept of biomimicking is that every example in your curriculum is towards the nature. So that's one concept, the change that you can do in the curriculum. The 6R concept again is one of the concepts which again is where what you are actually trying to put in your curriculum are all the 6 pillars, as you say. You reduce waste, you focus on repair, you talk about harmful items, you reuse of items, recycle and rethink. So these are the frameworks that a student can be that can be given to a student to actually see the impact on environment based on whatever learning he is doing. So for example, if he is learning a specific algorithm or a specific, let's say, framework in management, then he can map that framework to these 6 R's. So you can say that, okay, I have introduced the mapping of this chapter where management is studying about optimization of human resources, HR optimization, but this has how it is mapped to the 6 R's of sustainability. So that's one method which you can do. So yeah, so where does all this thing get into picture? So people, planet and profit are the 3 pillars, right? So if you see this diagram, what it tells, if you overlap what is the, okay, let's talk about the center. What it tries to depict is that you have, if you take all the three things together, right, then is the actual success. If you talk about the people, planet, there can be sustainability, but there's no business case in that. So if you want to add a business case into this whole process or a method, then it has to follow all the three, circles. So you can have sustainability, but you will not have growth. You will have sustainability, but you will not have efficiency. The true success is when the business case comes in between all these processes. When I talk about the business case, this is like one example, which is to balance how your business thinking can be brought into sustainability. So, okay. So what you have to do, what actually on ground you have to do is, imbibe futures thinking by, teaching them strategically how to think ahead of time. So, for example, scenario planning is, what if a situation has come, what are the best cases, these kind of examples, they fall out and add. So if you have a curriculum with these characteristics, automatically you will see, if you put in a co-designers or something, a framework like that, you will see that it is supporting some of the SDGs. You have to map between the problem and the change, what the change you are looking at based on the SDGs, and you have to map your current problem to that, right? And backcasting is a method where, you have to work backward to identify what are the steps that are needed to achieve this. So because see, today when people talk about sustainability, everybody says, okay, I want, let's say, carbon emission to be 50% by 2030. But what you have to do today to achieve that, right? So this is a probabilistic prediction problem, which can be backcasted to the number of steps that you have to do today. Now, this is one example. So this kind of a feature in your curriculum, which tells students to somehow backcast to some activity which will give some output in future, actually is adding to the, futuristic thinking in the student, which is actually a big requirement for achieving SDGs. See, when you talk about one very okay, once we finish this, then I'll tell you what is the catch in this curriculum design. Trend analysis. It is very important to understand what is the emerging pattern, right? So every curriculum that you have, you should be focusing on features which actually give this. Now, why this is so important, you might feel, right? If you see the SDGs, what actually these SDGs were laid down 2015, in the Paris Agreement, it was told that every country has to, do something towards achieving this sustainable development goal, and the goal was set for 2030, right? So it was a futuristic planning which was done by whole community as a globe, that okay, we have to achieve something at that end. So backcasting, we have to do a lot of things. We have to do scenario planning. We have to do mapping of what we are doing to the actual effect on the ground. We have to see how it will solve one problem 20 years in advance. And then gradually, as we progress in doing this, we are doing the trend analysis. So the point to say is that if you have this kind of a thinking in your curriculum, you are straight away supporting the sustainability development goal that has been incorporated by every nation. What we want today, I mean, as part of the environment ministry today, the country wants your citizens should be future thinking so that they can actually work towards achieving these goals. If you are living in today or you're looking at today's profit, it will never happen. So this is the crux of the curriculum, actually. A curriculum which brings such kind of all this which we have, which I was in the last 4 or 5 slides, which I told you. If you are biomimicking, if you are looking futuristic thinking, or if you are looking at any of these characteristics, right, then automatically your curriculum is actually putting that effect into the student, that the student is getting himself prepared to solve a problem of the sustainable development goals. And that's what is the essence of a curriculum which supports SDG. So that's about the curriculum designing. But then how can you do the same thing by changing the methodology of teaching? like using innovative teaching tools. So there are some digital platforms like SimCity Edu or Climate Interactions, which do simulates some part of the environment. If these kind of tools which are working towards the climate can be incorporated in your curriculum, whether you are teaching, let's say, C coding, okay, you might be teaching C coding, but if you do a coding which can make a plugin for one of those tools which look after climate, or you do some tweaking to add a API which uses this, which uses one of these tools, you're actually putting that thing in your mind of the student that is working towards climate, right? There are other open source data platforms like NOAA. NOAA is a climate dashboard which gives, again, climate information. Most of these examples are climate because personally I've been working towards SDG 13 and SDG 7, which works towards climate. So, but for every field, there's a different applications which are available. And if you look at, for example, there's a universal UN accredited poverty index calculator. Now, if you use that tool or use the API of that tool somehow into giving projects to the student which they're working, then you are actually forcing him to think towards, sustainability. Life cycle assessment tools, which is in the manufacturing industry or something like that. So these are all innovative tools that also, once incorporated in the curriculum, it adds towards the SDGs or the support of education towards SDG. So how do you actually change the assessment method, right? So you need to go beyond the traditional methods of evaluating the knowledge, because even the evaluation process should be able to give the sustainability angle to it, right? So your assessment can be performance based, such of application of sustainability knowledge, right? Like you can do your documentation of the project portfolios accordingly, community presentations, right? You showcasing the student solutions to multiple people. That's you are proliferating his solution, which is made for, let's say, climate. You're doing it for showing it to all part of the various industry. Cross section evaluations where people will learn about what your students are doing, or one student is doing, the other will also try to do such kind of thing, and demonstrating the impact of this solution. So this is like changing the assessment method. Some other methodologies like reflective practice is like how do you deepen the learning so that your cognitive awareness increases. So your assessment method should be looking at increasing the cognitive thought of the student. Some of the methods like journals or group discussions are a very important method where you can do assessment that can actually proliferate your SDG activities and so on and so, goal setting sessions. So these are all different methods to see that, okay, you have actually changed your curriculum and how you proliferate this. So what are the challenges? We saw this slide last time, if you remember also, that there is a curriculum constraint, right? You have to leave little bit room in your curriculum for all these innovations. So by thinking that, today I only have 60 hours, and in 60 hours I am not able to finish my curriculum, now somebody tells me to put sustainability also. So that's not the way to work. You have to have room for this. Okay, the resources are always limited. Okay, because you tell I want a code design permanent tool to use it, it will not happen. So you have to design your methodology. Preparation, it takes large amount of preparation. Let me tell you, if you have been teaching a subject in a way, it's very difficult, as an educator, I can feel it, that it's very difficult to change the way you have to, change your methodology of teaching, right? So how do you do it, right? So that's all depend on the preparation that you do. And of course, growing momentum. So if the more and more students, the more and more activities, policy changes, which will bring support for sustainability education nationwide, every educator will actually imbibe these methodologies towards designing curriculums for sustainability. So how do you get support, right? So you need multiple resources. Let me tell you, today if you suddenly start thinking that I want to design a curriculum for sustainability, you just can't maybe easily do it. You need support from various resources. EcoRise curriculum is one of the such sustainability lesson programmer, which assesses and how your tools or what you are doing is affecting the sustainability. WET again is a environment education program which connects students to forest, water, and other thing, and makes examples of other things. So these are the tools that you require as a educator to do this. So this somehow all the universities have to have these tools, and all the teachers have to learn how to get the tool, use the tool, and imbibe them in your curriculum. Okay, and of course, family engagement ideas are always there, right? Like energy audits, sustainability pledges, which happens in the family, community cleanup, cooking and meal planning of sustainability. For example, if you have a day where everybody has to, get food which is definitely sustainable cooking, it will imbibe that factor, and other, various methods you can think about, which can be brought in the other than curriculum activities in the university to imbibe this, and that's how it adds on to this. I'll give you a very important example. One of my if one of my colleague, what he did is, he had a curriculum where he had multiple field trips for the students to go and visit various manufacturing units, right? Now, earlier they used to, hire a bus, take the students and go and learn the manufacturing unit and come back, and it was just going on the same way. So what he did is that in the travel time from the university to the manufacturing unit, he hired a EV bus, and on the way, the students from the college to the manufacturing unit, they were given lectures by people in the bus about how the EV industry is changing the climate. So a very small change in his actual curriculum, which actually was going waste, this time was going waste, right? So has made his curriculum supporting climate SDG. So these are small tweaks, right? So that's how you need to think and use it. When I started, when we spoke about co-design, right, in which I spoke about co-creation. One of the important factors that support all SDGs is co-creation. So this is a very important point. So now, to have a curriculum in which you have co-creation, like the students and the teachers working together, students working together, doing projects across industries, it prepares students for futuristic thinking. So make them do activities, co-creativity, and empower them towards some change. So when the students actually go and do solutions like this, they learn the futuristic approach of thinking, and that's where your curriculum moves towards the design thinking of solution towards SDGs. So that's why every solution will, if you do co-creativity in a solution, it will have community needs. It will reflect your capacity building towards the community problems in across the globe, and that's one very important part of the curriculum, actually, co-creation, working together, and not an individualistic approach towards every task, every homework, or every own time work or something like that. So if you that's how even you start using co-design as a tool, you will come to know these little small changes, how it increase it. Actually, in a bar graph, it shows which SDG is what activity change you have done, it started supporting. So that's how it is come. So that's about what we have to do as a process. Coming to teaching methodology, right? So first we saw that, okay, the methods that you have to do as far as the student psyche. Then we saw what is the activities that the students have to do. And now also the third part is, as educators, you have to teach in a way which integrates sustainability. That's the change in the mindset. First, as a teacher, we need to change our thinking process to actually get into this field of integrating education. And how you do it is some examples, that how do you actually connect this curriculum to the goals, is when you talk, you map your curriculum to targets. You have to yourself be aware of all the policies, right? So you have to align the policies, even the education policies, to the SDGs. And you have to develop some methodology of sustainability competency for evaluation. So you have to teach with a thought that you are teaching sustainability with what you are teaching, maybe AI or blockchain or something else, or management or humanities or psychology. You have to understand yourself, the policies of the SDGs, which map to the policy of your subject, where it overlaps, and then you have to carry out assessment of this mapping. So that is one methodology. Policy alignment is in the thought of a teacher. Finally, the ecosystem. See, one is you design a curriculum, right? You have designed a curriculum, you are teaching, your examples, everything is boiling down into sustainability. But if the ecosystem around you, the college itself, does not have such thought, then the student will feel that, oh, I have been told to think towards sustainability, but we ourselves in our college are not using renewable energy, right? We do not grow plants here, isn't it? So we do not have water energy. For example, people who are studying chemistry, uh, if they have to do, they don't see, we say that rainwater harvesting is towards saving the water. Then if you do not have it in your own college, then how will you convince the people or the students to do this? So this is like going one step beyond the curriculum. Okay, the ecosystem around also needs to be sustainable. And as a teacher, you have to be the mentor. So this is again a challenging role, right? So today, as I say, that if you are a sustainable mentor, if your students know that you practice something at your home, or you cycle to the office yourself, that itself adds that one thought in their mind, that look, my um, programming professor is actually working towards the planet, because he comes cycling from his house, right? So we as the teacher, it's not only that we are changing the curriculum and following some methodology of teaching, we ourselves have to be the role models to do this. And actually that impacts quite a bit. Let me tell you, one of my friend, he has gone beyond in his practice to do himself for the planet. And every child in the Rashtriya Raksha University knows that professor by the name of climate. They even I have heard some students call and they nickname him as climate. So that is also very important. This is what we have talked extensively yesterday, but just to repeat that, you have to get tech into this education. So nothing can happen if you are thinking them to do sustainability, but you have not added any sustainable methodology in your teaching. So examples like AI is one of the example I take, because that is the buzzword. So AI driven platforms that automatically change contents. I'll tell you very important, it's sometimes, this you should all try to ask chat GPT to make a content of, let's say, 4 hours for a lab, which teaches C programming but supports SDG. You will get some interesting methodology. I mean, that's what has happened. You use some example, like use real-time environment data. Okay, so we have just spoken about that. Immersive experience is all that we spoke in the last class, right? You have augmented reality, virtual reality methodology in which you teach these digital tools, techniques have added on to the process innovation as far as the sustainable curriculum is concerned. So these are definitely there. And of course, so you need global collaboration, because many of these things have gone beyond limit in some of the other countries. If you today have some internship program exchange with some of the Scandinavian countries, your students or teachers who go and do cross training there, you will be surprised that once they come back, they are much more sustainable oriented, because those countries have gone much beyond what we are today. So collaborating with other universities who are very ahead in international projects, because they do many projects which are using some of the data which is supporting some sustainable development goal. So these kind of activities also required, because suddenly you cannot do it overnight that, okay, my university has become now sustainable curriculum. We need to imbibe some best practices from universities who have already been done. And you will find a lot of white paper which has been published by various universities, the way they have adopted sustainability in their curriculum, and that's how the way to go. Now, last is every college also, we are this is very important part of the way I think, because I support a lot of startups. So entrepreneurial thinking to the students have to have force towards sustainable solutions. I'm very proud to say today that some of my students who did pure tech work are working towards very, very strong sustainability startups. And these are the startups which are getting noticed. They're growing and they're doing very much better than traditional tech startup that he would have happened by his studies in electronics or computer science. So you need to also as the entrepreneur mindset we want to bring into the students, so we have to tell them that why don't you work towards startups or problems which solve sustainability challenges. You have to ideate the solutions, because students are the best solvers of problems, and develop prototype, and have that ecosystem that that's a Teerthanker Mahaveer University says that every year we produce 2 entrepreneurs from our computer science program who actually work towards sustainability. That itself is a very big achievement, let me tell you. So I, over the period of time, have learned, because all my life I've been doing tech. It's only once I have reached this old age that I have thought that, okay, let me start looking towards SDGs. And let me tell you, there are immense number of problems today available, which anybody can solve as a startup to help the complete nation towards this achieving these goals. So that's also a very important part of a university curriculum which needs to be changed. So but how will you monitor this impact? Just statistics that does this really work? But it actually works, let me tell you. These are all global percentage. You can achieve 85% by student engagement itself, like increasing in sustainability related activities, or in the curriculum just putting sustainability somehow. That's the global impact calculation. 60% is by campus impact, that if the college itself is trying to convert to sustainability. And you see the maximum impact is by teachers' confidence, right? It can only happen if you yourself learn about the SDGs. You yourself see what are the challenges today in SDGs. You yourself, your subject only, see how it maps towards the SDGs. I'm not telling every educator should know about everything, but if, let's say, you are just a If you're a law professor, then you should know everything about what the lawyers are doing in the field of SDGs. Because if you read about it, I'm telling you, naturally your examples will come. So 92% depends on how the teacher himself is aware of the SDGs. So, and it doesn't take much effort. uh, Last 2-3 years is what I have been working towards SDGs, and today, and let me tell you, it has become an instinct that whenever I go and talk somewhere, automatically the examples are coming towards climate or education or poverty or inclusion or water or climate. So it becomes your practice, and when that practice comes in, it is where you are a real role model towards the thing. And of course, community reach is a big multiplier. Every student is forced, every university is forced towards some community programs, and these programs should also look at you know how the SDGs are affected. So that adds everything. All finally, equity, inclusion, and indigenous knowledge. We know that uh, your every child has got his own personal knowledge that has to be brought into front to solve these problems. Nobody in this field is the final authority. Let me tell you, you have to have a diverse thought process. So you have to give universal access to all kind of activities. You have to address the environmental justice somehow, and you have to have leaders from your university who are the role models for SDG. And this can only happen if you completely focus your curriculum in a way that every of student of yours call you that you are Professor Climate. कल तक तो सर मैथ्स पढ़ाते थे. Today he has become a mathematical climate oriented mathematician, so something like that. And that's the call of the hour, let me tell you. So the future curriculum design has to be regenerative and adaptive. So we have to adapt. And let me tell you, the first question comes to any educator is that how will this happen, right? But I'm sure it will happen. If you take 5 steps, automatically the 10 steps will come. 2.5 years back, somebody told me, and I was like, it's a mammoth task. I took the first step to 5 step to 10 step, and today I'm consulting universities to convert their process to SDG based curriculum. So it's not very difficult, but everybody of you have to